Hello, hello, hello. Well, I asked an interesting question. I said it one way and I kind of changed it so I can make sure everybody's on board. And I said, could menopause be affecting your relationship? And the better word is, could menopause, male menopause, be affecting your relationship? Is somebody spraying some toxic stuff on you? Has some toxic stuff shown up in your marriage or in your relationship? So I want to take a quick second and just talk about it because I believe it's affecting a lot of households, and God wants us to have a good life, a blessed life, successful life, a victorious life. And as I've shared before, many of you know about my journey, 12-year struggle with my weight, and I was sharing that it wasn't just what I was eating. It was also what was eating me, things that were going on in my life. And there were many areas the enemy was actually coming for me. And I just know without a doubt that God allowed me to go through it in order for me to help somebody else come out. And as a result, I wrote this book called Get Over Weight. And as I sought answers and tried to find solutions and what things were hindering me and what things could be hindering other people that maybe I hadn't dealt with, you know, I found myself counseling quite a few ladies, and something started happening as I was counseling these different ladies in these different houses from different states, and they were all saying kind of the same things that were happening in their marriage, some in their relationships, and how their men, their husbands were changing and going through changes, and it was so deep because all of a sudden it started all sounding like the same scenario just out of a different household. And I thought, whoa, what is this? And I sought the Lord, of course, as I counseled and tried to encourage them and help walk them through it and help get them on the other side of it, and began to do some research and just as I studied and prepared for this book, and God led me upon this, and it is called male menopause. Another word for it is andropause. Now, I call it manopause. As a matter of fact, the title in my book is called, and it's under my section called What's Stopping You? Barriers to Your Weight Loss. It could be barriers to any area in your life. But it's under the topic of toxic relationships that I was just talking about on Sunday night. And I want to continue on it a little bit because the question I asked is, men opposed to? I mean, no, women, everybody, we know about menopause. It's interesting they call it menopause. It should have been called womenopause because men have a pause too. And it's called andropause. So let me give you the definition of it so you can know it's a real thing. I actually define it in my book as I talk about different things in the book. So let me just read the definition real quick. See if I can find it in my book real quick. It's called, and it's according to the dictionary, so I'm reading right out of my book. It says andropause, listen, the period usually occurring between the age of 45 and 55. 45 and 55. Now, you know, it could come a little bit earlier, come a little bit later, as it is with women with menopause. It doesn't all happen exactly at the same time, so that's just an average. But it says, during which a man's testosterone levels may fall, leading to a reduction on vigor and sexual drive. It's also called male menopause. And so if you're like me, I've gone through it, you probably found yourself, or you may be there now, or know of somebody who's going through it right now, found yourself talking to your husband or your male friend or whatever, saying, you know, you're not going through menopause yourself, are you? I never heard that men went through menopause. I thought it was just women. But their behavior changed, and they were, you know, started acting different and doing things different. And you maybe heard about when men go through their menopause, they call it the change of life, you know. But they start buying sporty cars, and they start trying to dress younger. Well, they're just going through, okay? But I bring it up because it can have a tremendous effect on the relationship. And these people that I was counseling were really at the brink of divorce, at the brink of their marriage breaking, because there was so much going on that was so very challenging. And as I studied it, and my heart just went out for them, because as I began to read and study it, I realized they were dealing with some real issues. And so I'm bringing it up because I want to encourage you that if you recognize any of this, that you will begin to seek some help, some counsel, that you'll bring it to the attention of your husband or your male friend, because they may not be aware of it. But if you recognize these signs, then I believe the Lord is sending this message to help you. While I mentioned this book, Get Overweight, as you know, I wrote the book. I have a journal that is a companion to it that helps walk you through it, but I also did a mentorship program that I'm going to be doing a special release of on Sunday at the 10th at my 9 o'clock live. I'm going to ask you to join me and encourage others to join me, because I believe it'll bless you. I'm going to share some testimonies of some that have been through it, but I believe it would change your life, because here's why it is in the book, and here's why I'm bringing it up. I shared this quote from Sigmund Freud the other day, and this is it. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. Some of those ugly ways is through weight gain, as I was going through some challenges in my marriage, as these ladies that I was counseling were going through challenges in their marriage and relationships. It shows up sometime on weight gain. As I said on Sunday, it could be weight loss. But another major area it shows up is in your health, because those emotions and the things that you're faced with in that marriage or in that relationship, if they're not corrected, if they're not healed, listen, if they're not addressed, and us ladies in particular, we tend to bury it, we try to hide it, we try to hold on to it, try to cover it up, try to make it work, but not found the ways to address and handle them. Those emotions do not die. They just come alive in uglier ways. And sometimes that is through health challenges that we're facing, sometimes in weight gain, and sometimes in weight loss. So I wanted to bring it to your attention. And so let me just share out of the book under this chapter of toxic relationships. And I also talked about toxins that can get in your body. So there are physical toxins that can get into your body. Not this. This is, this will work good, but of course you can't drink this. It will affect your body and your life. And so relationships that are toxic, if they're not addressed, if they're not corrected, if they're not dealt with, hear me, they can affect your life. This is serious business. We're human. We're not made to deal with stress all the time. We're not made to be going through all the time, fussing all the time, fighting all the time, something wrong all the time. This is not the way God intended for you to live. And I'm so grateful that He has an answer for everything. We just have to seek the answer. We have to go after it. We have to be willing to do what it takes to correct it. So let me bring up, first of all, one main thing. It says, attention, men and the women who love them. That's us, those of you that are probably listening to me. And it says, can low testosterone make you angry? Because this is what I kept hearing throughout the counseling, this anger. And it says here, this was an article that I read, it says, resulting behaviors, listen, include, talking about somebody who's dealing with male menopause, it includes anger, sarcasm, frustration, sadness, depression, being withdrawn, being hostile, and or anxious and dissatisfaction. This guy that wrote it, I think his name is Giannotti, he said low energy can also be a problem with the low T, as well as low desire. In some men, low testosterone has no specific cause. To be very honest, sex to men is very, very important. And it can affect them in their behavior. And so when they go through menopause and they aren't able to do the things that they normally do, or not feeling the way they normally feel, or they're dealing with health issues, and all those kind of things are affecting them, it can affect their sex drive. But they need to have the sex. So therefore, if things are not happening as they should, I'm talking mature stuff now, if things are not happening the way they need them to happen, it affects them. And they have to get it out. I forget where I read, but I think it was 500 million sperms that men carry. And how many, they got to get released. They need to get it out so that they can function and think straight and all of that. And when it doesn't happen, they find other ways, just like that quote I gave you. They find uglier ways to get it out. And sometimes that's through anger, frustration, fighting. I even talk about in here, talk about male menopause. It says male types of depression and irritable male syndrome. I talk about that. That's an interesting one. That's actually a thing. Depression and irritable male syndrome is called IMS. Can occur, listen, at any age, and is particularly common for men going through male menopause. And it talks about all the ways they act and their behavior. And, a sign, some of the things that you can begin to recognize when men are going through this change in life. Sometimes it's disability shows up, death of parents, death of colleagues, sometimes empty nesters. When my husband and I went through empty nest, that was the beginning of my 12-year journey of things that I was going through. And Ash was the last one to leave our home. And I tell you, I just cried and I cried and I cried. It was really difficult. But more than that, and we've heard it before and we think, oh, that's not really the case. But you just have to learn how to deal with things and these changes of life. But our life was different. We didn't have her here anymore. We didn't have her to take care of us. It was just us, and we were missing her, and life was changing. And I'm telling you, it began to affect me in different ways. And I believe it affected my husband, especially after y'all heard about how he cried. We didn't give away Ash. But anyway, job changes, job loss, changing energy. I give a whole list of them in the book that will change your life. All I'm trying to say is that we have to recognize and pay attention when things are happening in our relationships. It is often the devil behind it, but sometimes it can be physical. And I brought it up because it began to affect my weight, things that I was being faced with in my marriage. It affected other people in their marriage, weight gain, like I said, health challenges, depression. All those are signs of things we're going through that we've not found the answer. I know Jesus is the answer, and he gives us practical things. I want to encourage you, seek out counsel. Seek out counsel spiritually. Seek it out professionally. Some of you may know my daughter Ashley is a psychologist. She deals with family matters, so she's one you can seek out. I encourage those that have a spiritual foundation in their life, but either way, professional counseling. Your pastor may be able to counsel you, but find someone that can counsel you and begin to give direction to you. And of course, seek the Lord and find out what he's saying. Sometimes it may need to step away a minute. Maybe it's putting distance. You got to know when to talk, when to be quiet. And then, if your life is being threatened in any way, sometimes things can go to a whole nother level. Then you've got to seek God and seek counsel to know what to do to make sure you're not in harm's way. This was talking about barriers to weight loss, but it can be barriers to any area of your life, anything that's hindering you from progressing and accomplishing all that God has for you. So yes, in case you didn't know it, men go through menopause just like women. And if your man and husband is acting crazy and you don't know what's going on with him, check on this. This might be one of them. Get my book. I talk about it more in other situations and barriers that can hinder you. And I encourage you to join me on Sunday at 9 o'clock as I talk about the mentorship program. Go to laurapickett.org for more information. You can get the book and get my merit book, any other resource that can bless you. And I pray that it will change your life. Okay, I pray that this helped you. I love you so much. I am praying for you. Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you for those of you that are sharing. Thank you for those of you that are following. I encourage you to follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, follow my YouTube, and thank you for sharing the news that Jesus is our answer and he can help us through it. I love you so much. Menopause, you might need to take a little pause, get it together so that you can live the blessed life. I love you so much. See you next time. God bless.